Hi guys, it's Jackie. Today I'm going to review the movie Jenifer, directed by Dario Argento. So I did not know this when I watched it, and I've seen it twice now, that this is based on a comic by Bruce Jones and illustrated by Ben Wrightson. And I have seen a few pictures and stills from the comic, and it does seem vastly different from the movie that we end up getting. So I will still have to read the comic, but this review will be based solely on the experience of watching the movie without having read the comic. The movie should be able to stand on its own, and I should be able to get the same themes and ideas from the comic through the movie. So, that being said, let's get into it. So this is part of the Masters of Horror series. Horror movies were made to play on TV by different Masters of Horrors, different directors, and Dario Argento was one of those people chosen. This is his contribution to Masters of Horror. I watched all the special features and a lot of hard work was put into this movie, and I do appreciate that, especially the special effects and the performance by the woman that plays Jenifer. I do appreciate that, all the work she put into it. However, I do believe that the final result of this movie, mainly due to the writing and interpretation of the characters and themes, is the downfall of this movie. I think this could be a lot better if it weren't for the way the material was presented. I say this not having read the comic, but that is just a sneaking suspicion that I have. Anyway, I've talked enough about it. Review time. The movie opens with two cops in a car eating takeout. There's a fly buzzing around in the car. It's really pestering them, getting on their nerves, and our main character, Frank, finally catches it and takes care of it. The fly is really a nuisance. That's what's being hammered in here. It's very persistent. This sets the tone for the movie. This small detail in the opening is very important. In my opinion, this really sets the tone for how we will see Jenifer, the way she is treated by the writers and the characters in the movie. You have to remember the phrase, "He couldn't hurt a fly." In the opening, Frank can hurt a fly. By the end of the movie, will he even be able to hurt a fly? Keep this opening scene in mind. Frank gets out of the car, he pours his coffee out, he's wandering off, probably trying to find a place to use the bathroom, when he suddenly sees a man and a woman in a very precarious scenario. A man is dragging a woman in a dirty dress with her hands tied by a rope, and he is laying her over an empty oil drum, and he has a weapon in his hand, a cleaver, a butcher knife if you will. He's raising it over her head. He is about to make use of it when Frank yells at him to stop. He stops, but he says, "You don't know. You don't know what's going on here. Stay out of it." And Frank is forced to deal with him with his gun. The woman's hands are still tied behind her back. She is sobbing. We have shots of her bent over the oil barrel. We believe that the man has already passed, but when Frank gets up closer to the scene, he grabs him. We get a little bit of a jump scare, and he just whispers, "Jenifer." And we have not been able to see her face this entire time. It's only been obscured by her hair or from behind. Now we finally catch a glimpse of her, a partial glimpse of her face for the first time, and she has a huge single pitch black eye showing. Frank doesn't seem too rattled by this though, that she has an eye the size of a tennis ball. He doesn't really seem to register this or think anything of it, which is odd to say the least, almost more odd than Jenifer. My man has nothing to say about her enormous peepers. Reminds me of the scene in Ghostbusters when, I don't remember his name, is it Venkman? Was like, "Stop looking at me with those bug eyes, Janine." So he goes back to the station and he reports the incident. He is sitting at a desk talking with his boss. They have deduced that the man was homeless, but Frank says it's odd because although the man's clothes were in ragged and ruined condition, that originally they were quite expensive, a high price point. Later on, after this little conversation with the boss and Frank is back sitting at his desk, his partner asks, "Hey, what's wrong with her face?" And Frank is angry. He's like, "I don't know. How am I supposed to know?" But I think it is odd that he is angry about it. He did just save her and witness something a little traumatizing about to happen to her. But I do think it's odd that he is so angry and protective of her already. To be fair, his partner is being a little blunt and insensitive, a little too straightforward, no tact. And sitting from his desk from afar, he sees some people taking Jenifer somewhere, and he catches a glimpse of her face again. This time, we also see that there is something wrong with her mouth. It is disfigured, it is not right, there is something very wrong with it. He goes home to his wife and son. His wife is like, "What's wrong? Like, you're home late and you're acting weird." He isn't very talkative. He doesn't want to talk about it. He pours himself a drink of hard liquor and then says, "I took a man out today." And his wife's like, "Oh." At dinner, his wife is trying to be reassuring, help him through this. She says, "You did what you had to do." And instead of taking this little morsel of comfort being offered, he is very angry. He says, "I know that. I know. Whoa. Wife's just trying to help you out here." He leaves the dinner table. He leaves his wife completely alone. He goes to wash a large gash he has on his hand, an open wound that I believe he got from Jenifer's fingernails. And he washes it off pretty good. There's no fluids left, but all the same, he sucks on it. And this is gross. Like, this is repulsive. He doesn't do it just once. He does it twice. It's like, what are you doing there? Just ew. And then we get really where this movie started going downhill for me right away, very early. His wife is trying to make things better for him by getting him in the mood. It is very understandable that he would not want to participate in this after what he went through for the day. I do understand that. However, she says it's been a long time, which leads me to believe they haven't really been on good terms with each other in at least one area of their lives for a while now, and the way he treats her kind of leads me to believe that they are not getting along in more than one area of their lives. But he is a cop, and we all know how they treat their wives, so he finally starts getting into it, but only because he is thinking of Jenifer and what happened earlier in the day in a very vulnerable and dangerous situation. These images keep flashing in his head, and you have to remember also that her hands were tied while she was over the oil drum, so he flips his wife over on her back, kind of similar to how Jenifer had her back facing him. He's not going about this the right way. He's taking out his aggression. His wife ends up yelling at him. She is really mad, and that is totally understandable. And I really hate the way she is framed in this scene. Like, it's made to look like she is difficult and annoying when after what he just did. Excuse me? This will be a common theme just throughout the movie. She's made to look stupid and annoying, and I can't stand it. She is very obviously treated badly by him. We cut to another scene. Frank is seeing his psychologist that is mandated through the police department after taking out a man for the first time. It is required for him to go through with this, but he only wants to talk about Jenifer, and he wants more information. She is all he can think about. He doesn't want to talk about his mental state or what he went through. He only has questions about her. The psychologist tells him the only thing they know about her is that her name is Jenifer, which we've already been told by this point. But she adds that there was a note in the man's jacket pocket that just said Jenifer, nothing else. And the psychologist says, almost as if that was the only thing he could say, even if he tried to say something else, he couldn't. All there was Jenifer. She also confirms what Frank had said earlier to his boss. She says that it looks like, digging into his past, he had previously been a rich businessman. He'd had a good life. He was set up pretty good. He had not been living as homeless for very long at all, probably. And she adds that his family ended up disowning him. The psych also tells him that Jenifer has not said a single word the entire time they have had her in their care. Nothing. And then she goes on to say, I don't think she can talk. I think that she is the R slur. And then she says, sorry, mentally challenged. Why was this detail included? What? Writers? Why? Why did we do this? Also, it doesn't make sense because it's not professional coming from a psychologist at all. She tells Frank that she is in an institution, a certain type of institution, an asylum. Frank gets very angry very quickly. He says, well, if she's the R slur, why is she there? Like, for someone that seems to care about her and her mental condition and how she was being treated, why are you using that word? He says someone like her shouldn't be there, that it's a bad place for her to be. And she says, hey, I didn't do it. I agree. The system sent her there. He asks a staff member if he can see her. The guy is like, oh, the creepy woman? Yeah, sure. And Frank bites his lip, doesn't respond, but he once again looks angry. It would be sweet if he was this defensive over a disabled woman, if that's all it was, if he wasn't already having weird, obsessive thoughts about her, and thoughts about her during very inappropriate times, I might add. But we know that he is not just defensive over her because she is disabled. So this is not very gallant, in my opinion, and I am not touched by this. He's led to her in the shower. Yeah, he's allowed to just walk in the room while she is showering. There are 2 women staff members helping her in the shower. And the guy that led him there is just in there as well. Everyone's just in there looking at Jenifer in her vulnerable, unclothed state. Like, if she is disabled, this is very dehumanizing and she should not be allowed to just be on display like this. Deserves some respect, some privacy. The 2 people helping her in the shower would be enough. Especially a stranger that has absolutely no connection with her should not be allowed just in the room while she is taking a shower. Also, I love that when he sees her again for the first time, she is not wearing anything. Really? She should not be unclothed every single time we see her, especially if they are presenting her as potentially disabled. Not a good combo. The staff member that led him here to the shower room that called her creepy says, so how do you get that head on that body? And Frank kind of just like turns his head like, so this is the kind of place we're dealing with here. And he tells her, we got to get you out of here. You're not staying here. As if you don't have anything in this for yourself. He brings her home to their house without discussing or consulting his wife at all. He just shows up with her. Because of course he didn't. Why would he discuss anything with his wife? His wife is asleep in bed and his son is in his room. Not a sound coming from there. So Frank just sets Jenifer up on the couch and tells her, you can stay here until I find a permanent place for you. You can stay here for a little while. She doesn't want to be left alone. She clings to him, but he's like, it's okay. It's all right. Just stay on the couch. And she starts licking his hand. He cuts her off. He's like, all right, get some sleep. And then he leaves. When he goes to bed, he has a dream of her. She is not disfigured. She has a beautiful woman's face. And she is wearing a crown of pearls, which are very commonly represent purity. You know, beauty and purity. Frank smiles to himself in his sleep. He loves this beautiful image. But he wakes to her standing in his room in a towel, crying. His wife comes in, sees them together. She screams because first of all, she didn't know there was a woman in her house. Second of all, she's never seen a woman like her before. And Frank's like, okay, be quiet. Like talking to his wife once again in a very disrespectful tone, like she is annoying and ridiculous when this is a perfectly justifiable reaction. His son is very interested. He says, well, for a Morlock, she looks pretty good. I didn't know what this meant. I had to look it up. Apparently it is from H.G. Wells. It is a race in his The Time Machine story. Ape-like creatures with huge eyes. Yeah, great. Like, yeah, she looks very concerning, but that feels more ableist than anything. The sexism and ableism here are crazy. So his wife, her name is Ruby, is very angry. She tells Frank, she can't stay here. She says, look at her. Look how she looks. Get that woman out of here. I'm like, it is perfectly justified for her to want her out of her home. Why are we making her comment on her looks? It makes her look unnecessarily mean. Like, it makes her look like the wife is at fault here, and she is totally not. The way that this movie handles women is just... Jenifer is angry, so she walks up to Ruby and she locks lips with her. She kind of suction cups her lips over Ruby's. And when Frank pulls her off, Ruby has bite marks dotting the whole way around her mouth. Like she just bit the whole area around her lips. The next day, Frank takes her out of the house. They're just sitting in his car by a body of water out in the middle of nowhere. He says, I just don't really know where to take you. I don't know if he has tried to take her anywhere or if he's just sitting there trying to think of where to take her. That is the reason we're given for why they are sitting here in the middle of nowhere. And I'm sure you can guess what comes next, because this is a very convenient location. This movie is really seeming just like a certain type of movie. When they come home together that night, late at night, his wife is standing at the door. Frank is standing down at the stairs with Jenifer. His wife is like, where you been? Where you been all day? He says that he could not find anywhere for her. I don't think he even looked. I think he spent most of his time in that car with Jenifer. The way that they're talking about looking for a home for her like she's a pet. And when Frank says he didn't have any luck finding anywhere for her, once again, Ruby's like, well, yeah, look at her. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? That's not all there is here. And the wife is not stupid enough to think that's all there is here. Ruby, sorry. Jenifer runs inside past Ruby crying. And when they go inside to find her, she has locked herself in a room and she is using their cat as a toy/snack. Very messy snack and plaything. Let me just say that it looks like sausage links everywhere in a pile of spaghetti sauce. And when Frank comes in, she holds it up to him like, almost like no face, like, you want this? This is for you. And he doesn't look disgusted. He doesn't look surprised. He's just staring at her. What are we feeling here, sir? Why are you not horrified? Like, I get that you're a cop, but why are you not more horrified? And why does that not immediately make you want to get back in your car and try to find somewhere to take her? You would think he would realize that something is very, very, very wrong at this point. His wife and son leave in a cab, and that's the last we see of them this whole movie. They leave. I think it's all starting to hit him a little bit. He goes and finds Jenifer and he just screams in her face, just yells in her face, lets some of that frustration loose finally. And then later, of course, when Frank is lying in the bed by himself alone, she comes in to make things up to him. And we get another scene like this. We cut to Frank wandering the streets at night with a bottle of whiskey. He comes across a poster, a flyer for the circus. So I guess that's our next move. That's the next step. I really don't know what to say. I don't know at this point. When he comes home, things have gotten significantly worse. Things are going steadily downhill like a wheelbarrow. He goes down to the basement and discovers Jenifer has taken care of the neighbor's kid in a similar fashion that she did with the cat, except much worse. And right before this scene, we did get a little reference to Frankenstein, which I did appreciate. The neighbor's girl was filling up a kiddie pool and then she was throwing flowers into the pool, and we have Jenifer standing there over her ominously. That was interesting. I like that detail, if nothing else. But anyway, Frank is horrified. We jump to him at the circus. He is paying a man to keep Jenifer for a few days. I don't understand what this means or what his plan is. Maybe he just needs somewhere to keep her for a little while under some supervision so that he can find a more permanent solution. Frank says that he will be away. He will not be able to be contacted. And then he heads home. However, he cannot find her anywhere. So he smiles. He laughs, he sits down, he's like, the nightmare is over. It's over just like that. And then he opens the fridge and finds the man from the circus. Yeah, he falls out of the fridge. And Jenifer's like, are you excited? Do you love it? And she's jumping up and down with joy, like, yay, we can be together forever now. Going after the man from the circus seemed very intentional. And we still haven't heard anything from his family. I really think this is a big mistake. Like, I think it would be so much better and it would even show the direness of the situation if it would just show a phone call between him and Ruby, or his son even. Like, him and his son weren't close. Frank thought his son was no good, lazy, useless. If you had a phone call where even the son is concerned, like, Dad, where are you? What are you doing? Why are you doing this? That might have more impact than Ruby, since he doesn't care what Ruby says at all. But honestly, if we were doing this right, Ruby would call him on the phone and be like, are you ever coming back? You've just chosen Jenifer now? Like, I guess they've disowned him just like the man was at the beginning of the film. But we could show this a little more. Also, he completely stopped showing up to work a long time ago, and nobody shows up at his house. Not his partner, not his psychologist, not his boss. Just he stopped showing up to work and that's it. Nobody calls, nobody checks on him. Like, I'm sure they all know where he lives. They have his address. Like, he hasn't moved out of town and nobody's come to check on him. Frank is drinking, which seems to be his new favorite hobby, his second love, and they're getting friendly again. Yeah, I really think this movie should have just been a different kind of movie, if you know what I mean. I don't think this works as just a movie. And I really think this movie would be better if they set up story details or spent more time on things other than showing them doing this every other scene. It's literally every other scene. It's lazy. They're doing this in lieu of any solid writing. So Frank is really down bad in more ways than one. He goes to a local grocery shop in search of a job, and he meets a very generous woman that is willing to give him a chance. He looks rough. He looks real shady, to be honest, but she's like, okay, yeah, I could use a little help in here. We can offer you a stocking and cleaning job, okay? He's so desperate, he's like, yeah. Yes, please. The shop owner's name is Rose. Her son's name is Jack. Rose and Jack are discussing a party. Jack is going to a party that night with all of his friends, but Rose says, no, you're not. We have to close shop and still have to do inventory by tonight. And he's like, oh man, come on. That's when Frank steps in and says, I'll stay late. I'll do all of it. Like, go ahead to your party. I'm sure he needs the money, but he probably wants to be away from Jenifer as long as he can as well. So he stays late closing, and Jenifer is spying on him from afar, seeing him doing all this work with another woman nearby. At the party, Jack is hanging with his friends, but then he wanders off into the woods alone to use the bathroom, and that's when he stumbles across, who would you guess it, but Jenifer. He sees her from behind, just as Frank did in the beginning of the movie. She's sitting on a log. She's making some weird squealing noises like she always does. And then she gets up and runs away. And Jack's like, hey, where are you going? What the heck? And follows her. But once he sees her, he is no longer interested or worried for her. Neither one of those things once he sees her face. But it is too late. She puts her hands around his throat. Frank comes home late after doing all that work to find Jenifer snacking on Jack in the cellar. He is still alive, unfortunately, for this ordeal, but barely. Frank takes her deep into the forest, and I think they are in there until light. Like, he's taking her far into the forest. Her hands are tied. He's leading her with a long rope, just like in the beginning of the movie, the man that Frank met that was doing this to her. He pulls the length so that she is across a stump and then ties it to a tree branch. He has a hatchet that he is lifting above her head, but a hunter sees him and stops him. Would you guess it? By getting him with a gun. Yep. And the same thing happens. The man walks up. Frank is like, Jenifer. That's it for him. And then the man walks up to Jenifer, who is distraught, but moves on pretty quickly to this new man. There you have it. That's it. My question is why? Why any of this? What's the reason? What's the point here? We have the semblance of a plot here, but why any of it? Like, what's the reason we're doing any of this? What are we showing here? What are the themes? The only thing I'm really getting from this is that we're supposed to feel bad for Frank, that his life is going to ruin, and like Frank is made to look very sympathetic, but I don't feel bad for Frank at all. I don't. Jenifer's just always making squealing, whining noises, and honestly, it's kind of offensive. And when she's not doing that, she's just enjoying other people's company. So I don't really like that. The whole thing is honestly just misogynistic to me. The way he treated his wife, the way the wife is portrayed, the way Jenifer is portrayed. Really all I'm getting from this is women bad. The only other woman in this was Rose, and she was a kind and generous woman, and her character was fine. But then her son gets punished because of Jenifer. So she's treated badly too. I really wanted to watch this because I thought it would be cool. I thought I was going to see a feral monster woman giving everyone a hell. And she does, but not in a way that is interesting, really compelling. It's all through the male perspective, the male gaze. And it's not like you can't have that, but because of that, it comes with many problems and issues. I love monster movies, creature features, creature women, and this just did not do it for me. This did not hit any of the right notes for me. You would think this movie would be able to do something interesting with this concept, but I truly don't like this movie. Honestly, I like a lot of bad movies. If there is a movie, and if there's even one good part about it, or one good idea, I'm down, and that movie is not entirely bad to me, and I'll still give that movie credit because it had one interesting or original idea. I found this at Goodwill among a collection of other Masters of Horror movies that I did not pick up, thankfully. This is a movie that I can truly say is bad and not in a good or enjoyable way. However, I am interested in the comic, and I think I will check out the comic because it seems a lot more interesting than this movie adaptation for sure. That being said, I do think that the woman actress that played Jenifer did a good job. You know, she did what she was told to do. She did what she had to do, how she was directed. It's not her fault how the movie turns out. And I think she gave it her all and she really put everything into it. And I think that is the best part about this movie. I just wish that she had gotten a lot better of a movie, gotten to have a lot more fun with this character, gotten to let her shine more, be more horrific. That's the shame about this. But anyway, thank you for watching. If you watch this movie, please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you've already seen this movie before, let me know your thoughts as well. If you have read the comic, let me know how that is, what you think of the comic. As always, thank you for watching. I hope to see you next time. Bye!